Good afternoon, everybody present here. My dear special children, आप कहेंगे कि सर आप हमें रीजन बीइंग, आई थिंक शायद हिस्ट्री में पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि एक एग्जाम के लिए 3 महीने का टाइम मिल रहा है। ना तो कभी हिस्ट्री में कभी ऐसा हुआ था और ना ही शायद कभी ऐसा होगा। क्या आपने सोचा था कि एक एग्जाम बचेगा और उसके बाद लॉकडाउन हो जाएगा और फिर एकदम एक अनसर्टेनिटी सी हो जाएगी कि पता नहीं क्या होगा, होगा नहीं होगा, एग्जाम होगा। देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ अनसर्टेनिटी थ्रू आउट। होना है तो कौन सा एग्जाम होना है, क्या ऑनलाइन होना है, ऑफलाइन होना है। सो फाइनली द डेट केम। और इस टाइम में क्योंकि इतना लंबा टाइम बीच में रहा, एक गैप बहुत लंबा आ गया, उस केस में क्या हुआ कि हम अपने सब्जेक्ट को भूल गए। वैसे भी मैंने देखा है कि मेरा अपना 21 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस है। मैंने देखा है कि बच्चे यूजुअली बिन स्टडीज को सोचते हैं कि ये तो हो जाएगा, क्योंकि दे कीप ऑन गिविंग फोकस ऑन अकाउंट्स, मैथमेटिक्स एंड इकोनॉमिक्स, लेकिन बेन स्टडी उनकी लास्ट प्रायोरिटी में आता है, जिसकी वजह से ये होता है कि बच्चा बीएसटी को ये सोचता है कि ठीक है हो जाएगा, कोई ऐसा बहुत बड़ा इशू नहीं है। लेकिन प्रश्न ये उठता है कि क्या बीएसटी जो है उसका वेटेज और सब्जेक्ट के कंपैरिजन में कम है? इट इज द सेम। यदि हम बात करें अकाउंट्स की, यदि हम बात करें मैथमेटिक्स की, तो यदि वो 100 मार्क्स का है तो ये भी 100 मार्क्स का है। हुआ ये कि इन दिनों में ये 3 महीने का जो एक लंबा समय हमें मिला और एक इनसिक्योरिटी वाला, अनसर्टेनिटी वाला जो हमें पीरियड मिला, जिसकी वजह से हमने अपने स्टडीज के ऊपर बिल्कुल फोकस नहीं किया और हमें जो भी हमने पूरे साल पढ़ा था बीएसटी में वो हम सब भूल गए। इसलिए हमने, कॉमर्स टीचर फाउंडेशन ने ये इनिशिएटिव लिया है कि हम कम से कम समय में हम अपने बच्चों को जो कैप्सूल टीचिंग होती है वो कैप्सूल टीचिंग करें, तो कि आपको कम से कम टाइम में हम मैक्सिमम हम दे पाए। और ऐसा नहीं है कि हम आपको पढ़ा रहे हैं क्योंकि आपने पूरे साल पढ़ाई है, ऐसा नहीं है कि फर्स्ट टाइम आप कर रहे हैं, यू हैव ऑलरेडी डन इट इन द पास्ट आल्सो। हम यहाँ पर उसको केवल एक रिफ्रेश करेंगे और इस तरीके से करेंगे सो दैट कि आप कम से कम टाइम में बहुत अच्छा आप एग्जाम में कर पाए एंड यू कैन इवन टच 100 मार्क्स इन बेन स्टडीज। और आपने देखा होगा हिस्ट्री में ऐसा नहीं है कि 100 मार्क्स बीएसटी में नहीं आए, बहुत बीएसटी में 100 मार्क्स आए हैं यदि हम पास्ट उठा के देखें। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि इस बार बहुत 100 मार्क्स आने वाले हैं और कॉमर्स टीचर फाउंडेशन का जो एक सपोर्ट है वो आपके लिए है, आपके साथ है। आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ यू आर वेरी मच अवेयर अबाउट कॉमर्स टीचर फाउंडेशन। बेसिकली ये प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसमें कि ऑल ओवर कंट्री के जो कॉमर्स टीचर्स हैं दे आर एसोसिएटेड विद दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन उनके प्रोफेशनल एनरिचमेंट के लिए काम करती है। एंड द पर्पस इज वेरी सिंपल, बिकॉज व्हाट वी डू थिंक इज इफ वी आर एनरिचिंग आवर टीचर, that is not enriched for himself or herself only, that is for you only। वो आपके लिए है। यदि टीचर ग्रो करता है, ग्रूम करता है, यदि एनरिच होता है तो इसलिए होता है ताकि वो बच्चों को अच्छा दे पाए। तो इसलिए ये हमारा प्रयास रहा है शुरू से एंड ये पिछले 13 साल से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन काम कर रही है और इस टाइम लगभग 4000 से ज्यादा एसोसिएट मेंबर्स हैं इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के। अब तक ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन टीचर्स के लिए वर्कशॉप करती थी, वेबिनार करती थी, सेमिनार करती थी, लेकिन अब हमने सोचा कि नहीं, हमारे जो बच्चे हैं जो कि जैसा कि मैंने अभी शुरू में कहा कि उनके जो भी एकेडमिक प्रिपरेशन थी, उनकी जो बीएसटी की प्रिपरेशन थी उस पर धूल चढ़ गई, तो क्यों ना उस धूल को हम उतारें और बहुत अच्छा आप परफॉर्म कर पाए और जहां तक हो सके हमारा उसमें योगदान जितना भी हो सके वो हम योगदान देने की पूरी कोशिश करेंगे। आज का जो सेशन है ये सेकंड सेशन है। मॉर्निंग में जो सेशन था इट वाज अ वंडरफुल सेशन, वी गॉट लॉट ऑफ एप्रिसिएशन अबाउट द सेशन और उसी को ही हम रिपीट कर रहे हैं। द सेम कंटेंट वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग दिस सेशन आल्सो एंड वी आर फॉर्चुनेट कि हमारे साथ बहुत ही एक्सपीरियंस टीचर जो दिल्ली के नामी स्कूल है उनके टीचर हमारे साथ हैं। मिसेस ममता जो कि समरवेला स्कूल नोएडा से हैं एंड मिसेस सदामिनी स्कूल चाणक्यपुरी न्यू दिल्ली से हैं। वी आर फॉर्चुनेट कि आज हमारे पैनल में दो बहुत ही प्रोफेशनल एक्सपीरियंस टीचर्स हमारे साथ हैं और हमारे जो बच्चे हैं जो मुझे नजर आ रहे हैं, एक बहुत अच्छा नंबर आज बच्चों का नजर आ रहा है, उन बच्चों को आज बहुत कुछ गेन होने वाला है। इसी आशा के साथ मैं आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं और मेरे सभी बच्चों, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत। और मैं ये चाहूंगा कि आपको जो भी यहाँ पर कैप्सूल दिया जा रहा है, कैप्सूल इन द सेंस कि बहुत कम टाइम में बहुत ज्यादा देने की हम जो कोशिश कर रहे हैं, वो आप लें। और जब ये 2 घंटे के सेशन के बाद आपको अपने में एक चेंज नजर आए, आपको अपने में एक कॉन्फिडेंस नजर आए कि यस वी हैव लर्नड अ लॉट, और एक एग्जामिनेशन में जब आप बैठेंगे तो आपकी एक अलग ही एक प्रिपरेशन होगी, एक अलग ही कॉन्फिडेंस होगा। इसके साथ मैं स्वागत करता हूं पैनलिस्ट का। I would also welcome Mr. Gaurav Palia, who is also with us, right? Although he is known as a man of accounts, but of course he is always behind the success of every venture of Commerce Teacher Foundation. So welcome Sodamini ma'am and Mamta Kalucha ma'am. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, children. It is wonderful to see so many of you present at this point of time. And it clearly shows that, yes, you are interested and you have made the effort to start your studies. As sir said, it has been quite some time that you guys were not there. You have not been reading. So now you're starting. It's very nice to see so many of you. I would like to just take you through the entire session, what we will be doing today, so that you don't ask us the same queries again and again. Kindly, first one, kindly please don't raise hands. It's not possible for us to unmute and ask from each and every child because we are having around 500 of you. It's not possible. So whatever is your question, please put it in question and answer. You can see a Q&A below. Please kindly put it in it, okay? And certain common things which we have been asking, students have been asking since morning is, will this be shared? The video, as sir will tell you at the end, there it will be shared, okay? And regarding your further sessions, yes, we are covering the first chapter only today, and the further chapters will be taken up, giving a gap of 2-3 days. The entire schedule and how you to register will be sent to you the same manner how your teachers had sent this link. So you will have to register for each and everything. So today we will be covering just the first chapter. Mamta ma'am will be going through the entire first chapter through PPT. So it's just refreshing and just recapping the entire session. Okay, so we are not teaching you in detail. So please have that very clearly in mind. We are not teaching you in depth, because in depth you've already studied. Then after that, the later of the half of the session, we will be discussing case studies and some tips and techniques how to attempt your business studies paper, and how in board examination is come, and the general mistakes which children do. So we will be teaching you that also. And at the end, Gaurav sir will be posting a Google form which can recap your entire session, so you can practice it. And sir will also be posting a feedback form. So we kindly request you to give us your feedback so that our further sessions will be able to enhance it much better. Okay, over to you, Mamta ma'am.
Thank you so much, Soda ma'am. And good morning, good afternoon once again to everybody. And give me a while, I'll just share my screen with you all, and then we move on to the first chapter discussion.
Mamta ma'am, are you speaking? Because we can see your screen, but we can't see you speaking.
No, I so far so not started speaking. Just a minute.
And we can't see your video also, Mamta ma'am.
Just a minute. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Okay, till the time ma'am starts. So once again, I'm telling you, whatever is your query, please put it in question and answer.
Right. Ma'am, I hope I'm visible and I'm audible also now.
Yes, Mamta ma'am, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So we start with the first chapter, which is nature and significance of management. You all have already studied management and you have a fair idea as to what it is. So it will be a quick recap of the entire topic, and just keep yourself little calm and patient about whatever proceedings are. So I move on to the next slide that talks about the definition of management. We need to understand what is management, and we have been hearing about this term so often, when our parents also tell us, that especially nowadays they would be telling you that you need to be managed, you need to be very well managed for your upcoming examination of business studies, right? So what does that mean? You need to be more organized, you need to be more planned and systematized in your approach. That is all about management. So management is basically a process. Management is a process that involves various functions such as planning, organizing, maybe, not at your level staffing, but in a corporate level, it's also staffing, directing, controlling, and with the aim of achieving some target which is on hand. Some purpose has to be there on hand for which you are working towards, right? And that has to be fulfilled effectively and efficiently. This is what management is. And this is one such phenomenon that is applicable to each and every aspect of our life. It may be a social dimension, social organization, economic organization, or a political organization, private sector, public sector, everywhere it has its importance. So management is one such phenomenon that is applicable throughout in all types of organization, may it be in US, in UK, in India, everywhere it has its importance. Right? So there are primary basic functions that have to be carried out, and they have to be carried out effectively and efficiently. When I talk about effectiveness, I mean completion of the work. You need to be, completing the work at the right time. That is being effective. It's very important. And being efficient would mean when you're able to complete your work with minimization of resources, with minimum resources being utilized towards it. So for any organization, it is very important to be effective as well as being efficient. Both the aspects are very, very important. But undue importance to giving, to be given to efficiency will not suffice. You have to ensure that your work is completed with minimum cost involved into it. So this is what management is all about. That is, you're trying to achieve the targets of the organization through the various functions of management in a very effective and efficient manner. Then this is efficiency, that is doing the task with minimum cost. Wheresoever possible, try to curtail the cost, but undue curtailing of cost may also make you ineffective. So one has to be very careful that a right balance has to be struck between effectiveness and between efficiency. All right. Then we move on to the next part of it, that is the characteristics. You can even call it as features. And supposedly in the paper it says explain the concept of management. Concept basically means meaning as well as the characteristics together, right? So characteristics of management, as you already know, it is a goal-oriented process. Anything that you want to achieve, there has to be first a focus line before you. You need to know what I actually intend to do. Keeping that as your pivot, you have to carry out all your activities in that direction, and goal has to be very simple, very clearly stated, and accordingly the managerial activities have to be directed towards the achievement of that goal. All right. Then we also know that management is a pervasive activity. The term pervasive means it has a very wide application. It is applicable to each and every type of organization. It is applicable at each and every level of management. In all the activities, it has its importance. So may it be a religious organization or a social organization or a military setup or a school or a college or a hospital, everywhere we would see the requirement of management. So if it is not practiced properly, the things will be in a very chaotic situation. So it has its importance in all types of organizations. All right. Then we have to understand that management is a multi-dimensional activity. When we say multi-dimensional, basically it comprises of 3 dimensions which have to be incorporated in the organization. What are these 3 dimensions? First is management of work. When we say management of work, it means the total work has to be understood, that has to be identified. Then that work has to be transformed into specific goals. You cannot be saying, I have to do this. For that purpose, you have to translate that into specific goals. Okay, this work has to be achieved. This part will be achieved by so and so person in so much of duration, and rest of the work will be done by this person. So you have to assign the task. Specific goals have to be made, and after that, you have to assign means to achieve those goals. Maybe maybe you're required to make the budgets, or you are required to establish the reporting relationship between the manpower. So whatsoever is needed, those inputs are to be assigned so that the work may be carried out in a smooth fashion. Then it involves another dimension, that is management of people. Understand that management of people further has two sub dimensions involved into it. That is, you need to understand that you have to manage people as individuals. They have joined the organization with their diverse needs. Initially, when they joined the organization, that was not with the purpose that they want to carry out the work of organization. They joined because they had their own set of needs. Maybe somebody wanted an increase in salary, or somebody was looking for a high status job, right? So with that intention, they have joined the organization. So manager here has to cater to that requirement also. And then it has another dimension, that is management of people as a group, because you have to carry that group together, so that carry forward, so that they work in a very cohesive manner towards the accomplishment of goals of the organization. So management of people have further two dimensions, sub dimensions, that is management of individuals and management of people as group, right? Then we have another dimension attached to management, that is management of operations. What is management of operations? It means basically that, whatever purpose for which the organization has been established, to be able to achieve that, you have to transform the inputs into desired outputs, right? So to be able to do so, you are required to carry out some production cycle, right? Or maybe some latest technology has to be adopted, and then only your desired results will be achieved. So that task has to be carried out very smoothly in an organization, and that has to be in coordination with management of work and management of people. So basically all these three dimensions have to be interlinked and integrated, so that actual execution of a task takes place in an effective and efficient manner. So this is the meaning of the term multidimensional. Moving ahead, we have another feature of management, that is, it's a continuous process. It does not stop at any given point of time. We cannot be saying that, okay, we have worked a lot, we have already planned for a good number of months, and we have organized our resources quite well. Now we can be a little complacent about it. No, this is one such phenomenon that runs throughout the lifespan of the organization. It's a continuous process. Planning, organizing, staffing, they carry on a regular basis. At a parallel level, all these functions are carried out in an organization. All right. Then we have another feature, that is, it is a group activity, right? Because people are there in an organization. As an individual, when they joined with their diverse personalities, their outlook, their perception, everything differs, right? So there is a requirement that their work has to be assimilated together, that has to be interlinked together. So management plays that active role, wherein the diverse activities which are being performed in an organization, they are all brought together. So it's a group activity which requires teamwork and coordination, that is established by management, right? Then we also understand that there's another feature of management. It is a dynamic function. Management helps to bring in, the changes in an organization very smoothly. That transition takes place in a very smooth manner. So because organization is functioning not in isolation, you are always, you're always around you. There are so many changes taking place in the business environment, under economic dimension, under political dimension, under legal dimension, social dimension. So you have to adapt to those changes in a very smooth manner. So managerial activities always aim at that only, that whatever changes are taking place in the environment, that should be brought in very smoothly. So accordingly, plans, policies have to be drafted so that the changes take place within the organization in a very smooth manner. Okay. Then we have to understand this as a last feature of management. It is an intangible force. Intangible means it cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, but definitely it has its importance. What does that mean? It is to be felt. How can we, feel that the organization is well managed? When we look at its profitability, or probably when we see that the sales output is increasing, number of units that the organization is selling is increasing month after month, or maybe the people who are wanting to work in a particular organization, more number of employees are joining in, or maybe the customer satisfaction is increasing, or the capital investment in that organization is increasing. So we can really make out that the organization is well managed. That is why so many stakeholders want to get attached to a particular organization. So these were the features of management. Then we move ahead with the next topic, that is objectives of management. We understand what is objective, that is the basic purpose for which any organization would exist, come to existence. It may be, manufacturing of a product, physical product, or it may be a service that has to be rendered to the society. So whatever may be the purpose, for that there are various objectives. The organization can segregate the objectives. These are certain objectives are referred as organizational objectives. Then we have social objectives, and then also personal objectives. At the primary place, we will attach importance to the organizational objectives, but that does not mean in any ways social objectives are lesser in importance. These days, all the more they are gaining importance, because you have to deal with so many segments of the society. So many stakeholders are there in the society who are providing resources to the organization. So if you are not catering to their requirements in correct perspective, then for long the organization will not be able to survive and sustain. It will not be able to achieve its organizational objectives. So all these three sets of objectives are very, very important for any organization. All right. So moving ahead, the organizational objectives majorly means that you are able to utilize all your resources, may it be men, material, in the most optimal manner. You exploit them to their fullest potential. That is basically realization of organizational objectives. So this would majorly include survival, profit, growth. When I talk about survival, what does that mean? To be able to sustain and survive in a highly competitive environment. See, there are so many producers who are competing neck to neck, wherein they are trying to sell their product aggressively in the market. So you should be able to sustain and survive in the market. For that purpose, you are required to earn sufficient revenues, which would help you to cover up all the costs, associated costs. So that is a very important, that's a basic agenda, that first of all, you should be able to survive. Then only you will be able to earn higher profits in the organization. So survival, sustenance, that is very important. And then profitability. You need to earn good profits. Profit, as it is, we know that is a source of livelihood for a businessman. It's very important. If you're not earning profits, then probably you will be rather forced to shut down your business. So it is very essential to cover up all the cost and associated risk to a business. That also enhances the credit worthiness of the business. It's an index of efficiency. So if you're earning good profits, then people would be interested to attach with such an organization. May it be employees, may it be workers, may it be lenders, everybody, supplier of raw material, he would be ready to sell produce on a credit basis to the organization. So profit is very, very important for each and every organization. Then last but not the least, the organizational objective, that is growth. Growth is very important. One cannot be complacent at any point of time. You may be doing wonders, like at the class level also, maybe you are a topper, but that does not mean that you can go complacent. You have to always think about innovative methods to further enhance your capabilities. Likewise, that stands for an organization also. You have to think of innovative methods. Your imagination has to widen. More creative you have to become. You have to modernize your business. You need to expand your business. You need to increase the scale of operations to ensure that you can have an edge above your competitors. So at any point of time when you feel complacent, you will be left behind. Your competitors will grab that opportunity. They would bring out something better than you. So it is very, very important that you grow at all times. These are the organizational objectives. They may also be referred as economic objectives of the organization, but better is that you attach the name organizational objectives. All right. Then we have the next set of objectives. These are social objectives. Social objectives, as I have briefly introduced, that there are different stakeholders to a business. These are like society, customers, and so you have to ensure that you are giving in return to them whatever is due, because they are the ones who are providing various resources to the organization. So it becomes your moral and ethical responsibility to provide them also the benefit. So it's very important for the organization to use eco-friendly methods of production, and to ensure that fair dealings are there, and you're able to supply the product on a regular basis at fair prices. Good quality has to be maintained. All these are social objectives. You have to ensure that sufficient employment opportunities are created, especially for the disadvantaged section of the society. All these social objectives have their importance. And once the organization is trying to, cater to the requirements of the society, that automatically will lead to the realization of organizational objectives also, because a better image, a good reputation would be created, and finally more number of customers will be attached to an organization. All right. Then we have another set of objectives. These are personal objectives. Personal means at an individual level, the purpose for which an individual would have joined the organization, right? That is there. And so the good manager, through his abilities, through his leadership skills, through his motivational skills, he would always ensure that while the person is being made to contribute towards the organizational objectives, he is also realizing his personal objectives. His personal requirements are also being well taken care of. Then only he is going to exploit his potential to the fullest, right? So management task is to reconcile the personal goals with that of the organizational goals for the harmony to be established within the organization. All right. Now we move on to the next topic, that is the importance of management. How is it important? It is very, very important in each and every organization. Rather, even in a home setup, it has its own importance. Whatsoever goal you have set before you, you'll be able to achieve that optimally if you are well managed. So likewise, we understand the importance of management. It helps in achieving group goals. So whatsoever have been decided as the group goals, maybe it is to increase the sales by a certain percentage, or probably to have an increase in a profitability by a certain percentage, those group goals will be channelized in the most optimal manner. Otherwise, people are working in an organization, but what happens is that they do not get a common focus. That focus is brought in deliberately by management, right? So management helps in achieving the group goals of the organization. That creates a common direction towards which all the activities of the organization will be channelized. Then we talk about that management also increases efficiency. We are already aware of this term efficiency. Efficiency means that there should be minimization of cost as far as possible. When you try to reduce the cost of production, automatically that will increase our profitability, right? So that should be the endeavor, that should be the efforts of managerial activities, that wheresoever possible, it should be that you are using cost effective methods, right? So, and if that happens, see, if everything is well managed, everything is well spelled out as to who is to perform what and when it is to be performed, automatically that will remove any area of, say, duplication of efforts won't take place, wastage of resources won't happen, and that would lead to optimum use of all our resources, may it be men, material, machinery, whatever it is, even the capital, the money that is put into the organization, that will also be utilized in a very optimal manner. All right. Then management helps in creating a dynamic organization. Understand that, always whensoever there are changes brought in into any kind of organization. See, even if in your school environment, if the authorities decide that you will not have recess outside in the fields, you will be required to sit in the classroom itself, you will always resist to it. Whensoever there's a change, there is a reluctance, there is a resistance towards it, and you are not ready to accept that. But if somebody plays that intermediary role and explains to you why you are not required to go outside, probably this is a time when a lot of pollution is there and it can harm you. Somebody plays that, explanatory role to you. You will understand that and you will adapt to that change very easily. So likewise, in all the activities in the organization, it is very, very important that it is managed well, and that will pave way for, changes to be adapted very smoothly into an organization. All right. Then we talk about it helps in achieving personal objectives. So, the people who join the organization, they have their own set of objectives for which they are joining the organization. Now, a good manager would always ensure that while he's asking the subordinates to work towards the realization of overall goals of the organization, right, he will ensure that their personal requirements, their needs are well taken care of. He would tap the right need and motivate the person in the right direction, so that he gives it his 100% commitment, dedication to the organization. So in a way, while the organization is achieving its organizational goals, overall goals, the managers ensure that the personal objectives are also realized well. All right. And it also helps in the development of society. Management helps in the development of society. How? See, management actually is basically carried out to achieve the goals, the objectives of the organization. But once the objectives are realized, That means everything is carried out in its utmost best manner, effectively as well as efficiently. This automatically would lead to development of the society. How would that happen? Because if everything is falling in place, that would mean that there is no disruption in the supply chain. The goods are being, released from the godowns on a regular basis. Good quality products are being sold out to the customers, and you are creating sufficient employment opportunities for the people to work. And also maybe you're using the latest technology, then only you will be able to survive and sustain. So if you are trying to achieve all your objectives, organizational objectives, social objectives, personal objectives, this itself would mean that you are able to develop the society at large. Latest technology means growth for everyone, so society as a whole is going to prosper because of that. All right. So now the next topic that we take up, I believe that you would have followed till now. We have taken up meaning, we have taken up features and importance of management. Now the next topic to be taken up is nature of management. See, this nature of management had a different meaning attached to it few years prior, maybe 20, 30 years prior from now. It meant, all the rules and regulations which were followed by the government and the commercial activities. So that meaning was attached to the term management. But now modern day management basically attaches newer connotations, newer meanings to the term management. Many people, and that is because of, there's so much of trade taking place, so much of commercial activities taking place in the environment, because of which new meanings are being attached to the term management. So sometimes management is being treated as a art or a science or a profession. So we are now going to head towards a discussion as relating management to art or as profession or as science. When we relate management to an art, what is an art actually? Art is a skillful and personalized application of the knowledge that you already have towards the achievement of goals, right? So when I talk about art, there can be different forms of art. It can be painting, it can be dance, it can be singing, it can be public speaking. So all these maybe performing arts are there. So what features are there for an art? We are going to compare that vis-a-vis management, right? And if we see that all the features are matching, then we can come to a conclusion that yes, management is an art, right? So for art, we know that if we talk about dance, if we talk about music, there is sufficient literature available for those art forms. So likewise, even for management, there is sufficient literature available. As a management student right now, you are also studying principles of management practices, theories propounded by eminent persons, right? So like Henry Fayol and F.W. Taylor, right? So there is sufficient literature available in management also. So this feature definitely matches with that of art. Then art also has another feature that talks about that it is personalized application. The two dancers might have attained their skills from the same institute, but how are they applying that skill? That will differ. They got the same knowledge, same kind of skill from a particular same teacher, but how well they are able to apply that knowledge is a personalized approach. Likewise, that stands even for management. Even a manager in a different situation, in a different scenario, will apply these knowledge, that principles and practices in a different manner. So it's a personalized approach here applicable to management as well. This principle is also matching. So then this feature is also matching. Then we talk about another feature, that is as a art is basically based on practice and creativity. If you see, it says it's based on practice and creativity, which would mean that more you practice, more proficient you become in a particular form of art. Do a lot of painting on a regular basis, definitely there will be one fine day when you will turn out to be a great artist. Likewise, that stands for a dancer or a singer as well. So for a manager also, same thing is applicable. He keeps on practicing the same knowledge that he has gained through principles and practices in different environments, different situations on a repetitive basis. When he's practicing, he will definitely turn out to be very successful. So we say that all the features of art are present there in management. So we can rightfully say that management can be related to art. So we can say, yes, management can be considered as an art, because art is a skillful and personal application of existing knowledge to achieve desired result. And so it is there in management as well. all right, because we have compared all the features of management to that of art. Now the next part of it, that is management, can that be related as a science? Pure science, you know, physics, chemistry, biology that you have studied till 10th standard. So pure science principles are, you know, directly based on cause and effect relationship. So you know exactly that if you mix two components and what are you going to derive, and any time of the day, of the year, any place of the world, if you try out those principles, those practices, you will get the same result, homogeneous results you're going to get. So likewise, now we are going to compare the, you know, scientific principles against that of science against that of management. If we do so, we see that there is a systematized body of knowledge in science. Sufficient, you know, body of knowledge is available. Likewise, it is there in case of management also. Sufficient theories, literature is available in management as well. Then there's another feature that talks about that scientific principles are basically based on experimentation. In a controlled environment, when on a repetitive basis you're experimenting and accordingly you come to a conclusion, like Newton's theory, you have all, you know about those results because they were tried out several times in a controlled environment, and accordingly these theories were propounded. Similarly, even for management principles, may it be unity of command, may it be unity of direction, may it be discipline, may it be equity, you are already aware of all these terms, right? So these principles and practices, they have also evolved over a long period of time after repetitive experimentation in different scenarios. So this principle is also, sorry, this feature is also matching to that of science. Now we have another feature, that is universal validity. If we check out on this, yes, the science principles, they are applicable, you know, in every situation you will get the same result. So likewise, if we try to talk about management, maybe that particular principle work wonders in a particular situation, but you cannot replicate that in another organization, stating that that organization was able to benefit because of using this principle, right? Like there's a principle of team spirit. Team spirit is there, so you know, on an average basis, all the organizations should encourage more of team spirit in an organization. But maybe if the situation arises that it's a strategic decision and you need to maintain secrecy, so probably you are not going to share your details with every person in the organization. So they are required to be modulated depending upon the situation. Right. So if it's a military setup and you need to plan out something strategic, maybe team spirit principle has to be modulated. It cannot be tried out in all the situations to get the same result. So universal validity may not be matching in exact form to that of science. So we will come to a conclusion that management is inexact science because these principles actually are to be applied on human force, you know, manpower. And manpower varies in different forms because they have their different understanding, their value system, their maturity, their perception, all that varies. So a manager, a good manager would have a combination of these principles and practices, and you would always modulate those principles depending upon the requirement of the situation. So we would refer to management as inexact science. All right. So most of the features of science not complement that of management. So it could be concluded that management may be considered as an inexact science. Fine. Now, the next thing that we can take up under the nature of management is, can management be related to a profession? So what is a profession, first of all? Professionals, we all already know, like we relate to doctors as professionals, we relate to chartered accountants as professionals, we relate to lawyers as professionals. So can managerial people, managers, also be related as professionals? So this conclusion we will draw after we have a discussion of the features of a profession vis-a-vis that of management. So if we talk about the first feature, it says well-defined body of knowledge is there. So if somebody has to attain knowledge related to, say, medical practices, so you need to study a lot. There are so much of, knowledge work that you have to attain in in that profession, may it be for a lawyer, may it be for a chartered accountant. So there is a well-defined body of knowledge, and you have to follow that. You have to study that. Similarly, that is there in managerial courses also. Right now, you are at the school level, maybe at the graduation level, or you take up some professional course in management. So you will be required to study a lot of subject matter on managerial principles and practices. So this feature is matching. And then we talk about the next feature, that is there is restricted entry in case of profession. Because for anybody to become a doctor, one fine day, I cannot be just saying that I want to study medicine. I have to, qualify that entrance test. I have to be prepared to be able to take up that course. To whatever requirements are there to get into that particular course, I have to prepare myself and I have to clear that paper, right? But for the manager, right now, if we say that manager, anybody can become a manager. And there's so many organizations in our rural setup, in our urban setup, probably the people are not very well educated. Maybe by chance they have been doing well till now, but as of now, it's a highly competitive environment. They would be certainly required now on to be very professional in their approach. But in 100% perspective, I cannot say that there is restricted entry, that you have to have this much of qualification, basic qualification. You have to be MBA to become a manager. Not necessary. But yes, all reputed organizations, they are looking forward to that kind of qualification and experience for the managers. So this this feature is not matching in exact form. Then we move on to the next. That is, it says that professional associations are there. You need to be member to those associations. Like for a lawyer, to whom we refer as a professional, he has to be a member of Bar Council of India. If I talk about a doctor, he has to be a member to Medical Council of India. So likewise, can I compare that to management? So does that mean that managers also have to be member to a particular organization? Not necessary. So far, so it is not necessary. There are organizations, there are like organizations, IMA is there, All India, Management Association, there is CII, there is FICCI is there. So all these organizations from time to time are issuing guidelines for their members, for business associations, but it is still not essential that you become member to these organizations, right? So this feature also is not matching in exact form, though it is desirable. It is always good for the organization. If you take their membership, you would always be given those guidelines as to how to function further, and that would improvise your performance. But so far, so this is not a mandatory requirement. All right, moving ahead, then it talks about the next feature of a profession, ethical code of conduct. Or a professional, like for a doctor or a lawyer, they have to, they have already agreed to it, that they will keep welfare of the society to the forefront. They will not work with their profit maximization objective as their primary agenda, right? So there is an ethical code of conduct which is prescribed by the association, and they have to follow it in a strict form. Is there any code of conduct prescribed for managers? So far, so there is no code as such prescribed. It is always desirable. It is suggestible that you adhere to correct practices. You give due importance to social objectives of the organization. But if a particular organization is not working in that manner, no legal action as such can be taken till the time your business does not go unlawful, right? So there is no prescribed ethical code of conduct for managers, though it is desirable. All right. So then next is service motive. Service motive comes to the forefront. Welfare of society, that has to be there. So likewise for the management also, service motive, social objectives are important, but not at the primary place. All these enlightened organizations, awakened business organizations, they are definitely adhering to the correct practices. They are selling good quality products at good, fair prices. They are ensuring that they are not into any kind of malpractice. But as such, service motive does not come sometimes at the forefront. Sometimes, there are many organizations which resort to wrong practices, malpractices, because for them the primary objective is economic objective, that is the organizational objective. Right. So this feature also in exact form is not matching to that of management. So we come to a conclusion that, management cannot be treated right now as a full-fledged profession. We are moving towards professionalism for sure. And only those organizations which are adhering to correct practices finally would be able to sustain and survive in the industry. But as of now, we are not a complete full-fledged profession as a management, we can say that. But upcoming, definitely in times to come, there will be a requirement that will come up, that people will be required to be attached to a particular association. There will be restricted entry. It seems like that because of the highly competitive market practices. All right. Now, if this topic is clear, we move ahead with the next one, that is levels of management. Levels of management, what does this mean? We hear these terms like top management, middle level management, first line management. So this is the hierarchy which is created in an organization, and that hierarchy is created in an organization because the authority varies. At the top level, people have the maximum authority to take decisions, right? So top management is that segment of the organization which majorly comprises of various designations, such as, say, CEO is there, COO is there, chairman is there, general manager, president, vice president. All these designations are majorly assigned to top management people, right? Then we have at the middle level management, which acts as a link between the top level and the bottom level management. So we would have departmental heads, we would have divisional heads, we would have branch managers, section officers, or operational managers. All these are designations at the middle level management. You may be getting a question wherein a designation is given to you in a case study, and you're required to identify the level of that particular manager, at what level he's functioning, and then you have to give the function. So if you identify wrong level, if you identify a person from middle level management as a top level management, you will give the wrong functions. You will give the functions of top level management. So one has to be very careful on that aspect. Then we have the operational level management, that is the action point. So first line managers are very, very important in any organization, because they are the ones actually who are interacting with the doers, with the action points. They are the ones who are giving instructions to the workers, that and they are training them, they are resolving their disputes, their queries. So all those matters are taken care by first line managers. So they become very important in an organization. But nevertheless, none of their segment is lesser in importance. Every sector, every segment has its own role to play. When I talk about top level management, they are the ones who are majorly, setting up the objectives of the organization, the overall objectives of the organization, the purpose for which the organization is existing. Those objectives are set up by the top level management. They are the ones who are interacting with the outside world. They are maintaining a liaison with bureaucrats, with governmental bodies, whensoever any legal formality has to be followed. So they are the ones who are interacting with the government sector, right? And they are the ones who are actually, responsible for overall performance of the organization. Finally, they are the ones who are accountable to the shareholders. So top management people, they have that role to play. Then we have the middle level management, and they are the ones who would even hire. Top level management people would hire people below them. So they would hire, say, production manager, purchase manager, finance manager, HR manager, right? So when I talk about middle level manager, they are the link. This is the segment that plays an intermediary role between top management and bottom level management. So they are the ones who would interpret the plans which are created by top level management, the strategies that are made by top level management. They are interpreted in a simpler manner, right? So they are the ones who would, they would. They are the ones who would employ people under their own departments and segments. They would allocate resources to various segments, and they would prepare reports which will be presented before the top level management. And they are the ones who would implement the policies and the plans created by top level management. Fine. Then we have the next level management, that is the first line managers. As I just mentioned, they are the ones who are interacting with the workers. So maybe the designations like superintendents, supervisors, they are the ones who would from time to time explain what work has to be carried out by the workers. They would specify it to the minutest detail. They would coordinate their activities. They would oversee their activities. They would find out the defective units being manufactured. They would devise methods to reduce the defective units being manufactured, right? So proper training has to be given by the supervisors to the workers. So all these works are to be carried out by supervisory level of management. So here the role of top level management and certain designations have been cited before you. And so they are the ones who are responsible for the welfare and survival of the organization. They analyze the business environment. Overall goals are established by them. Strategies are made by them. So this is what it is. Middle level management, they are the link between top and operational level management. So they carry out the task which is formulated by top level management. They interpret the policies framed by top level management. So whensoever required, they are the ones who would hire people within their own departments. They would set up objectives within their own area of performance. Like purchase manager would set objectives for the purchase department, right? So he would assign duties. From time to time, he's going to motivate his manpower to ensure that the work is carried out in correct perspective, and they would cooperate with other departments to ensure the smooth functioning of the organization. Likewise, we have operational level management, bottom level management, or you may even call it supervisory level management, right? They are the ones who directly oversee the tasks being performed by the workforce. So they would assign them responsibilities, they would train them, they would sort out their problems, they would act as a mentor to them, as a philosopher, as a counselor to the workforce, and they would ensure that the work is carried out in correct perspective as it was targeted by the top level management. Now we move ahead with the functions of management. If you remember, we started with the definition of management, that is, management is a process. So it's a process which comprises of various functions. What are these functions? These functions are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. What is planning? Planning is like, foreseeing the future. What do you want to do in future? So it's the concept which bridges the gap between where we are and where we wish to be, right? It would try to answer to all the possible questions as to what is to be done, when it is to be done, how it is to be done, by whom it is to be done. So to the greatest, to the minutest detail, you are working out, you're spelling out all the possibilities. So whatever is needed in an organization to be able to realize the goals of the organization, that work is carried out by the planning department, right? So this is very important. And it is often said that an ounce of planning in the beginning is better than tons of corrective actions later on. You go on doing remedial actions later on, probably things will not work out the way it would have if in case you would have planned well. So it's always better to plan out your activities. And also there's a saying that an act in haste and repent at leisure. So you should not be acting hastily. You should be first setting out your standards, your objectives before you. That task is carried out by planning. All right. Then it is organizing. So once you have planned out your activities to the minutest detail, you're required to organize yourself. You're, as an individual, as an organization, as a proper setup, you need to organize yourself. You need to be more systematized. What does that mean? That means whatever resources are required. If I talk about the organization, business organization, maybe human resources, physical resources, financial resources are required. So you need to assimilate all these resources at the correct time. Whensoever needed, these resources should be made available to you. So there has to be orderliness that has to be carried out in an organization, and that orderliness will happen only if the organization is well organized. If the business organization is well organized, right? For that purpose, you need to understand the total tasks that you need to do. You need to group them up into say homogeneous groups. So those similar nature tasks have to be grouped together. You need to departmentalize your activities, make smaller segments, so that the activity is carried out on a repetitive basis by that department only. You appoint departmental heads, then you assign the duties to the subordinates, right? You establish reporting relationship between superiors and subordinates, so that there is not a single element of ambiguity left, right? So organization plays a very important, a very vital role in for the success of the organization. It says that if the structure that is created, it may be a functional structure or a divisional structure that is designed to carry out the tasks of the organization. If that is not a correct structure that is created, that would really impair the functioning of the organization altogether, and that will have an adverse effect on the success of the organization. So it is very, very important to group out your activities properly, and you need to assign the task to the subordinate. You need to assimilate all your resources, men, material, money, at the required time. So all that task will be well taken care of by organizing function. Then we have the next function, that is staffing. As the name itself suggests, staffing means manning the job positions that have been created by the organizational structure. So once the organizational structure is created, that maybe like you have a top person, below him there are 4 people working, maybe a purchase manager, sales manager, finance manager, and so on. So once that structure is created, after that you need to fill up those job positions. You need to fill up those vacant job positions, and one has to ensure that these job positions are never overmanned or undermanned. They should be optimally manned, because if it is overmanned, that would also add to our cost. Unnecessarily manpower, if not required, that means you're not utilizing their fullest potential, right? So that will have an adverse impact on the profitability of the organization. And also it should not be undermanned. If it is undermanned, lesser people are there than the required number, then probably you will be ineffective. You will not be able to realize the goals of the organization for which you have come into existence. So it has to be optimally manned, which would mean right number of people should be hired into the organization. And for that, various functions have to be carried out, or elements have to be carried out, such as recruitment, selection, placement, orientation, right? So training, all these functions have to be carried out. When I talk about recruitment, I mean to say that you're inviting people, potential people, to the organization to apply against the job positions which are lying vacant in the organization. So recruitment is carried out by internal and external sources. Selection is there. Selection is a negative process. I would say recruitment is a positive process, because you're inviting the potential manpower to apply against the job position. So as many applications come in, it's good for you. But when I talk about selection, that's a negative function, because you screen out to shortlist the manpower to the required number. If there are 2 people required of a specific qualification, so you are trying to shortlist from the people who have applied for the job position. So selection has to be done. Once selected, you need to place the person onto the required job position. You place him, you give him induction training and various other types of training to ensure that he works as it was expected from him, so that fullest potential can be derived out of this manpower. All right, staffing function has to be carried out. Then we have the next function in line, that is directing. Directing means giving direction, as the name itself suggests. Direction would comprise of various elements, like you have to lead your team. You have to lead your team by example. You have to play a role model before your subordinates, so that they also emulate the same functionalities what you are doing, right? So direction basically comprises of various important elements, like supervising the activities of your subordinates, leading them, and then you have to motivate them from time to time, maybe by giving financial motivators or by giving non-financial motivators. So accordingly, that right mix has to be complied, so that you are influencing the behavior of subordinate. They function the way you want them to function, and that would happen if you lead them well, if you motivate them well, you communicate with them on a regular basis. Communication does not mean monologue. It means a dialogue has to be established. It's a two-way communication. If you are just instructing, it seems like you're imposing on your subordinates. So whensoever there is any query, any suggestion by a subordinate, you should encourage them in decision making. So this will make the communication system very effective, and probably they will feel they are directly involved in the decision making, and their commitment towards the realization of goals will be all the more. So right instruction, right orders to be given. You need to motivate from time to time. You need to lead by example. What you are expecting others to do, same thing you yourself should be following in an organization. So good leadership styles, there are various styles, you all are already aware: autocratic style, democratic style, free reign style of leadership. Depending upon the nature of that organization, accordingly that style has to be incorporated. So it's a combination of different elements. You are supervising the efforts of subordinates, right? Supervision, motivation, leadership, communication, all this come together under directing function. Then we talk about, last but not the least, controlling function. This is the evaluative function. It evaluates the performance, and performance is not just to be evaluated at the uh, towards the end when the task is completed. At that point of time, it would have very less of relevance. Maybe yes, relevance for future planning, but at the interim stages, at every small stage being accomplished, you need to control the activities. You need to check out whether we are moving in the right direction or not. A follow-up action has to take place, right? You need to review your activities on a regular basis, so that if at all we are deviating from the target, from the standards, so some corrective actions may be complied with and we come back onto track. So controlling function also has to be performed in an organization. It's an evaluative function. In our schools also we have, say, unit test system is there, or probably a first term examination, second term, pre-board examination, final examination. So all these are evaluative systems to ensure that you remain on track, right? Maybe today's session also is one of the controlling measure. You all are our students, maybe not from our school, but you are our students, so we want you to remain on track. So this is also one of the evaluative measure. All right, so this is there. We have done functions of management, and now we move on to another concept which can be referred as coordination.